Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. So I am going to keep this video nice and simple for everyone out there. Why should we not be panicking now? Why should we not be worried or even stressed out? For the next few weeks, you don't have to do anything in this space. You really don't. And I'm actually going to be breaking everything down and really kind of talking about a few things in depth, specifically even talking about why XRP is about to have a major move in the market as well, just like any other altcoin. Now, as we do think about that and as we do look into a few things, Bitcoin has been ranging so far. We're going to address Bitcoin slightly in this video. On the 24-hour span, there is still a lot of altcoins breaking out. Still some nice movement here, regardless of the price action today. If you guys actually did look at Bitcoin today, we did break to like 65K. It was like 65,100, right? And then we broke down, back down to like about roughly 64K and held 64K. That is something that I'm actually going to be focused on in this video. Now, if we actually go to the top gainers and losers in the top 500, I like to look at the top 500 because, the top 100 don't move that significantly just yet until we are in alt season. There will be some nice pops in the market around the top 100, but for the most part, I'm really kind of looking at majority of altcoins, not just the top 100. So as we do look at this, right, there is still a lot of green in this market, which is very good to see. And this is because Bitcoin dominance is actually starting to weaken a bit. And I'm also going to put a spotlight on that as well as XRP dominance, actually just to really kind of focus on one, because again, this video is mainly going to be talking about why XRP is looking ready. I mean, as we really look at a lot of these altcoins, they are just pretty much doing what XRP has been doing since we broke all the way back down into like the 40-cent zone on XRP, and majority of the altcoin market got wiped out that day, April 13th, all the way down to these significant levels. This is a liquidity wipe. But as we look at the overall market right now, we could see the volume in the last 24 hours. This goes all the way back to like 2017, 2018, by the way. So far, this is a pretty significant amount of volume back in March, and now we're back down to like the midline. We're waiting for this to have another spike up in terms of trading volume, and even in terms of the spot market, you could also see that on the left side in terms of the market cap. We could also see Bitcoin dominance, and then this is the statistic that everyone focuses on, which is the fear and greed index. Now, just like I said the other day, and this is like going back a little bit to like the 18th, right? I said specifically that if you go back to January, we were back down to like this neutral area around like 50. Just recently, we went back down to that neutral area. It was about like 55. It wasn't anything too crazy. And now we're back to greed levels. Now, even if we go over to the actual crypto fear and greed index from alternative, we could see that we are at 70 right now in the greed territory, as you guys do see here. And we've been just ranging in the greed area for a little bit of time now, even regardless of how many times that we've backtested like the 60K level or even broke under 60K, we still maintain this greed level. But with that being said, let's talk about XRP. Let's talk about altcoins in general. So here we have the XRP Bitcoin pair that I've been focusing on for so long now on the channel, as you guys do know. In the last couple of weeks, I've been making a big spotlight of this chart, especially as we have this major downtrend that seems like it's never going to end. And during this entire time, what do we hear over and over and over again? Well, we hear XRP's not going to do anything, XRP's a scam, XRP's this, XRP's that, and it's always at these low levels where the chart looks basically absolutely bottomed and we're waiting for the next impulsive move to the upside. Now, one thing that I will say right now, if we actually look at the MACD, negative momentum is slowing. We're starting to increase here, and what this is going to actually do is provide us with the good MACD, aka the green MACD, which is momentum increasing around XRP. This is going to be very exciting, especially during a time where it looks as though the XRP Bitcoin pair looks to be breaking out. XRP dominance, which we were going to talk about, seems to start increasing as well during that time. And that's typically when we are in alt season. Now I'm going to address Bitcoin dominance as well as the total 3, which is the altcoin market, to really kind of back my overall view of how we are getting closer and closer to alt season and why we could be very close to it officially heating up. But as we do look at the MACD, like I said, negative momentum seems to be cooling off. We're waiting for that positive momentum to increase, just like we saw back in like September, for example, even back in July with the announcement of the SEC lawsuit, being cleared in terms of XRP, being a currency, not a security, and even back in April as well. This is where you had the MACD in terms of negative momentum cool off drastically, and it typically takes some time, and then we got the positive MACD momentum really kind of increasing. Now, as we look at the XRP Bitcoin pair, as I've said, ranging sideways, waiting for the big pop. RSI is still very oversold. It's about to cross the moving average here, that yellow line. The first time that we saw this on the chart, when we were in oversold territory, and it's the only, it's the last time that we ever saw this down here in this area, was back in 2019. Now, if we go back to this time frame, we can see when the cross officially happened. It was September 9th, 2019, and we had a pop to the upside. Now, I don't have the XRP USD pair open, but I would argue that this is probably where we had a little bit of a spike in price. Now, it didn't maintain or anything like that because, again, this is like during the bear market, so it's nothing too crazy to know. But that's the only time that we saw this. And during that time, we had a big pop to the upside on the XRP Bitcoin pair. Now, we are about to get across on this chart as well with the moving average in this absolutely oversold area on the RSI at the same exact time that the MACD negative momentum is cooling off, and we're also about to get across down here as well. So I'm watching to see if we do get a big pop on this chart. Now, just like the HBAR Bitcoin pair, which I didn't include in a video recently, we are watching the Bitcoin pair closely for XRP because just like HBAR was back down into this area, this red zone that was completely oversold, and we were waiting for the big pop, and we got it. And it was off of the announcement with BlackRock and Arcix. And when we look at XRP Bitcoin, we're waiting to see what is going to be the catalyst for this. Is it just simply alt season starting? It could very well be that. But we're watching the Bitcoin pair closely for a lot of these altcoins because this is typically what leads to an explosion in price. Now, at the same exact time that we're watching the Bitcoin pair, we're watching the XRP dominance chart, which I've talked to you guys about on multiple occasions. Again, similar to the Bitcoin pair, we're in the area of almost basically the full bottom on this chart since going all the way back to 2014, for an example. And this is the only time back here in 2014, June, when this was completely oversold. January 2017 is the only other time that we were down in this level outside of just the 2020 timeframe before, of course, the SEC lawsuit. Now, what is very significant is the fact that we are down here in the oversold area. The last time that we had a major backtest down in this level on this area that I have this like transparent horizontal line here, was back in July of 2019. And again, this led to the big pop in October of 2019, very similar to like the Bitcoin pair in September of 2019. But we're watching this one closely as well because just like the Bitcoin pair, negative MACD momentum is cooling off, and we're waiting for the positive one. And we're also getting a cross on the RSI moving average as well. And this is in the peak oversold area. Now, as we are watching this on XRP, guess what's happening with Bitcoin dominance? Well, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is the macro chart that I have here. So as you guys can see, going all the way back to this level that we tapped in July of 2016. Now, very, very interesting here. This is support. I'm not actually going off of a top candle. This is support that we were riding for roughly 2 months in a row. We had a little bit of a spike, but ultimately sold off in March 2017, leading to the 2017-2018 bull run. Now, or alt cycles, or alt season. I apologize. But regardless, here we have December of 2020 into January of 2021. Now, the reason why I'm noting this is because, again, we were fighting that macro trend line. We're fighting the macro trend line right now, and we have a nice wick above this, very similar to this wick in January of 2021. And look at the RSI here. The RSI is fighting this area that we fought back in 2019 and rejected off of, and also almost wicked to perfectly in December of 2020 before having a major sell-off. Again, we're right there now. This is the triple tap that we've already had on this monthly candle. Now, just like the XRP Bitcoin pair and just like the XRP dominance pair, look at the MACD. Do you guys notice something? We're starting to see the positive momentum cooling off, just like we saw back in 2019 all the way into 2020. We're watching for this to fully cool off and start to go into the negative momentum territory, because this is what alt season looks like, where we're in negative and the momentum is continuing. And you could also watch this closely as an indicator to actually sell your altcoins as well before the market tops, because typically when this is starting to go back into the bullish territory, it's typically time to get out. But it's a lagging factor because, as you guys do see, I'm on the monthly here, right? Most altcoins topped out around April and May of 2021. As you guys do see, this is like deep red territory where the momentum is almost at the all-time high, if you will. But it continued on into June, and it continued on all the way through roughly April of 2022. And then it went into bullish momentum. But that's why I say, like, it's a lagging factor. And mainly what you want to really kind of watch for is the Bitcoin pair to weaken in alt season, of course. Not right now. But regardless, I'm watching this chart because if this is going to be the top, if we're near the top, and we could have a little bit of a nice spike back up, we still have to watch this closely. But if this is the top, then I'm expecting us to actually continue to sell off for the next roughly 2, 3, 4 months ahead. It could very well go on for a longer time, because as you guys do see back here in 2020, this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months in a row of just downtrend. And then we kind of started to range a little bit. Still, some altcoins were starting to pump a little bit, but for the most part, this is when alts were done pumping. But that's why I'm watching this level back down here for us to actually back test, which will essentially be our bottom. And if we're talking about a top where we are at right now, guys, this is still roughly a 26.89% drop. I know that it's not the significant drop that we had back here, and we're going to go off of the top of this candle body, or candle wick, sorry. This was a significant, almost 50% drop. And if we go to the bottom candle here in September of 2022, again, this is like after the market basically topped out. This is like a 47% drop, but I'm going off of this wick here, which was 46%. If we go to the top of this candle wick, this would be about roughly 29.64%. Now, a lot of people are always talking about, well, what if we continue to go lower, and what if Bitcoin dominance goes all the way down into like the 20% range? It could. It doesn't. It's something that a lot of Bitcoin maxis will say, like, oh, Bitcoin will never lose this, specific amount of dominance, but it's still a possibility. We can go significantly lower, but this is where most of the support would be on the Bitcoin dominance pair for us to actually maintain this as the bottom. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down here, range sideways, and that's pretty much it. But outside of the dominance chart, let's check out Bitcoin. So I mentioned in the Patreon group, for those out there that are a Patreon member, I mentioned this area that we're kind of ranging on here. Now, it's basically this resistance level that we tapped back in February, but there's not a ton of support here. This is around like roughly $64,132. Now, our main support zone is around this level here, $63,809. Now, we wicked down to this almost perfectly on today's daily candle, and so far we are maintaining this. The problem that I'm seeing here now is that MACD is still not flipping into a bullish momentum. there's also not a lot of volume coming in to Bitcoin. We need increased volume and also increased momentum. I wouldn't be surprised if this continued to range down here, tap the bottom range at around like $62,000 roughly. So like this would be the level that I would be watching for us to tap, which is like around like $61,942 or so. Again, we're watching for a higher low to be formed. That's why I like the level that we are at right now. If we could range here and actually get some momentum to push through that upper trend line, that would be amazing. Now, when we are in that level, we could very well backtest the trend line. Again, it all depends on how high we go, but I wouldn't like to see a downtrend, have this downtrend backtest it under the support zone that we are riding on right now. So if we do maintain 64K, so say for so we have, a nice spike up here and then we backtest it. Again, this is more so on the daily. I'm not looking at the weekly. This would be preferred, like where we hold 65K and then from there, we actually go up into this demand zone, this upper demand zone. And this is the level that we actually want to clear in order for us to write off the idea of going significantly lower. But this is where I really kind of watch for $74,000 to be breached on Bitcoin. We still need that bullish momentum to brew on the MACD, and we still need a lot more volume in on Bitcoin before we do get a little bit ahead of ourselves. But I'm watching to see if we can break through this trend line on the daily. So far, we haven't been able to do so. If we can get a daily candle close above this, that would be a very, very good sign. Until then, we could very well just range here or possibly even sell off down into this low. Again, this would still be a higher low technically going off of the April 17th and April 18th dates when we had this low down here at about roughly 61K formed on the chart. So from here, I would watch for us to kind of chop and then go if we go that low. Again, the big thing is if we go that low. Now, going back to the original viewpoint is alt season, right? Total 3. This is the very, very simple view of the fact that alt season is near. Why is alt season near? Well, let's look at this chart. So first off, on the monthly, this chart is a little bit different. I've had these trend lines set up for the daily and also even the weekly. So this is what we kind of look like here. Again, just chopping here, ranging, waiting for a big break to the upside, still maintaining the resistance zone. Sorry, let me move this down. Still maintaining the resistance zone here on this chart. I'm watching to see if we can get a nice impulsive move above this upper trend line. Very similar to what we saw back here in December into January into February. So again, this is like 3 months in the making. Technically, May should be the time where we get a confirmation of a big move to the upside. The question is, do we get that? We don't know. But as we look at the RSI, we are basically fighting this level that we were fighting back here in November of 2020 as well. And as you guys do see, right, the next 2 candles looked like this. Very similar to what we are doing now, except just a little bit different considering the fact that we are in a much larger market for altcoins. But this is basically what ended up happening after the fact. And this is what we are expecting to do going forward, where we have this nice big momentum to the upside. Now, the candles are a little bit different. We're talking about a lot more money. If we were trying to really kind of replicate this perfectly, then it would be something like this, where we go well beyond my initial viewpoint of, DCing out of altcoins between like $2 to $2.5 trillion. But regardless, I don't think that bars graphs are a thing to really kind of fully focus on because they're not extremely accurate. It's just going off of the same fractals back here. But the thing that I'm really kind of looking at is just breaking over the all-time high. Because if we look at this chart, this was the all-time high from 2017, 2018. We were fighting that already in January of 2021. So realistically speaking, this next candle, if we are going to repeat something like this back in 2020 into 2021, this next candle should be something where we go all the way up to this level here. Again, we could still back test the midline here at around like 651 billion. We could even back test that lower trend line at about roughly $600 billion. but this should take us to about roughly 965, almost $966 billion for the altcoin market before we ultimately get that big flip of the resistance zone. Specifically, what we're talking about is flipping this area here. And that should take us to the February, the March, and even the April candle bodies that we saw on the altcoin market chart. Now, also, like I said, MACD, focus on the MACD here. Look at this. This was alt season of 2020 into 2021. Bullish momentum increasing. The momentum was very strong here. Here we have the current view. MACD momentum increasing drastically. We are watching this because if we are going to do the same exact thing that happened back in 2020 into 2021, which again, we won't do it to the T, but if we are going to do something like this, guess what? Altcoins are about to go crazy. And it's a very simple view here as well, where we just kind of range sideways. We get that big engulfing candle, range sideways, big engulfing candle. Again, here you have the same exact pattern on the chart. Engulfing candle, sideways momentum, engulfing candle, right? We didn't go really sideways here because the next one was an engulfing candle as well. And then we just are starting to range sideways, waiting for that next engulfing candle to the upside. Altcoins look ready. The altcoin market looks ready. Going off of just one simple view, which is the MACD, momentum is very, very bullish right now around altcoins. I do think that May is going to be the big sign of if we are about to have a big move to the upside or if we're going to range. Now, does it mean that the beginning of March or May is going to be bullish? No. In fact, the beginning of May could very well have a slight sell-off back down to this bottom trend line before going up. If we go back to May of 2020, for an example, here we have May of 2020. Let me show you guys this real quick. So this was May of 2020. Nothing too crazy. We had a slight sell-off, and then we continued higher. But we're talking about a $50 billion market back there versus, over a $655 billion market where we are at right now. But just going off of the MACD alone, going off of the RSI, we're starting to have that, slight sell-off. I would ultimately be looking for a major impulsive move on the RSI, really kind of just going into what we saw back here in 2021, but also the MACD increasing drastically. And all of this will be confirmed through one specific thing, which is Bitcoin dominance breaking down, which Bitcoin dominance right now, momentum is slowing, and we are watching this closely because all of this is telling us that alt season is coming. And yes, XRP will participate. In fact, XRP, it is in such a very solid spot right now. I couldn't be any more bullish on the overall setup right now on the charts if you are following charts, because this tells me that we are basically at the bottom, we're ranging, and we're waiting for the big pop to the upside. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.